Hi, this is Cole Hamels. Welcome to the Philly Show.
Hi, everybody. This is the Philly Show with Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zalecki. We're part of the Foul Territory Network. It's Monday, August 12th, 2024. Gentlemen, coming off the weekend in Arizona. Ruben, how was Arizona other than the play on the field? You were there.
It was like being on the equator. It was it was the hottest place on the planet. But other than that, I mean, you know, it was a reminder that the Arizona Diamondbacks have the Phillies number. I mean, They played baseball exactly how the Phillies played baseball in the first 2 months, and that's exactly what they wanted. That's the kind of baseball that the Phillies wanted to play, and it was a beatdown.
It really was.
in a lot of different ways. The pitching, the offense, the situational hitting. There was all types of things going on as far as just playing baseball is concerned. All the things fundamentally, situationally, they just played better baseball. They are a very fast team. They're a very athletic team. They got exploited in that area. The Phillies pitchers got exploited by walking too many people and making too many mistakes defensively and leaving too many pitches in the middle of the plate. And the D-backs just took advantage of it. It was as simple as that. And the Phillies are going to have to figure out what's going on because it's an unmitigated disaster right now. Yeah. The pitching's not the starting pitching has been subpar. And they're going to have to they're going to figure a way to right the ship, because right now, if they were going into a playoff game, regardless of whether they win the division or not, they'll get knocked out quick because the kind of baseball that they're playing right now is just not going to get it done.
They're a very good team, the Diamondbacks. You mentioned their speed and the way they can string hits together and put runs on the board. And then they also have some power pop too. Yeah. Really nice team playing terrific baseball. You can say they have the Phillies number or whatever you want to say. They're just outplaying the Phillies, going back to games 6 and 7 last year. I was watching Bryce Harper's post-game interview. I mean, that was a tough series. You lose 3 out of 4 after taking the first game. And there's a lot of disappointment in that room, a lot of disappointment etched on his face. And he was asked, I think Corey Seidman asked him about the Diamondbacks team and how they played. And he made the comment that they're not scared. They play the game the right way. They're not scared, play the game the right way. And, it's our job. We read into things. That's what we do as reporters and observers. And my little antennae went right up when I heard that. They're not scared. They play the game the right way. Bryce is a master at messaging and kind of laying it out there. You got to read between the lines. Do you think there was a message there to possibly some of his teammates about the not being scared, about playing the game the right way? Do you read anything into that comment, or am I just being a little hyper observant?
No, I think that Bryce, you're right. Bryce does not say things and not know what he's saying when he says them. Very rarely do I feel like he slips up. When it comes from free agency, Jim, remember a couple springs ago when they got Schwarber? He's like, well, we'll see. Hopefully they're not done yet. Yeah. Well, Nick Castellanos comes aboard. He says a lot of those things, trade deadline, free agency, with the way the team is playing. So, yeah, I absolutely think that he might have been trying to send a little message there, or maybe just trying to wake up this team, which is 24-30 since they won that first game in London on June 8th. They're 6 games under 500.
Yeah, well, so here's what I observed about it, and the playing scared part and playing the right way. I saw some situations where guys were not like defensively, some throws that were just not thrown with crispness. Guys look a little, they are playing a little timid, and it's They're not making plays that they typically would make. They're not running balls out the same way. There's some concern about in the case of Turner. I've seen him on many occasions lately where he is not going full bore at times. There was a situation where a ball was hitting the gap one time that maybe he could have scored. There was a situation where it was a ground ball, double play, that no way on the planet that he gets doubled up, where he get doubled up. And I'm not sure whether he's feeling like he can't bust it because he's worried about his hamstring, or what the deal is. I have a feeling that that's probably part of it. But there have been some situations where there's some players who are not playing with the same sort of fervor and, I don't know, confidence that that you would typically see in a team that's up, what, 7.5 games on the division. Now, that's a concern. And pitching wise, I don't see guys getting after it. And I mean, it's a little, everybody, you know, guys are coming out of the pen and walking people. I mean, you're not seeing now certain guys, not all of them. Now, certain guys are getting after it. I mean, if I were going to like name people, I think Castellanos is playing his tail off right now. I think he's doing a lot of things really, really well. He's having great at bats. He's playing, you know, he's playing to win. I think that there's guys like Strom and those kind of guys that are getting after it. But there's some guys that are not getting after it right now, and it's pretty obvious thing. And if they don't start getting after it and start regaining their confidence, it's going to be an awfully short postseason.
You mentioned confidence. Another intangible, urgency, sharpness, but urgency. They built such a big lead. Do you think it dulled some of their urgency, Todd?
Yeah, I wonder if it might have. I'm just looking back at their play recently. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's dulled their urgency at all, but I do think that they're really lucky to have the lead that they do have because in the division anyway, I still think they're going to win the division. But you look at the standings today, and they are tied with the Dodgers for the best record in the National League. And the Brewers are only a game and a half back of both of those teams.
Right.
So now you're getting in a situation, you talk about urgency. They better start picking it up because now you're starting to get in a situation where they might not even get a first round bye. They might have to play the #1 wild card winner, which right now, as of today, would be the Arizona Diamondbacks. You know, that's how the matchup would go in the playoffs. So yeah, I don't know. Jim, do you think that they're maybe too complacent? I mean, I guess I don't get that vibe so much, but I mean, you might feel differently.
I wouldn't say too complacent, but you know, I think the way human nature works, you get that big lead, you play so well, it might take some of the sharpness away. There might be a little bit of complacency, and it's time to kick it in. You know, since I was looking this up, since that sweep of Milwaukee at home, right before they went to London, they're 5 games under 500, yet they've only lost a half game in the standings. I mean, that
right.
You know, all of a sudden, hey, we really haven't played well, but we only lost a half game in the standings. Yeah, I think that can probably dull some of your urgency. One of the real buzzwords around this team since Rob Thompson took over in June of 22 has been the word resilience, almost to the point where it's been a cliche. Well, it's time to see some. You know, they've been really good at it, and that's the reason it became a buzzword. They played through a lot of injuries. They really scrapped in September of 22. But, you know, this prolonged stretch that they've gone through really since London now, I mean, the second half of the season since the All-Star break, they have the second worst record of the major leagues.
Yeah.
Thank God for the woebegone Chicago White Sox. They'd have the worst record of the major leagues. So what are they? The team that had the best record in baseball? The team, you know, obviously they're in the middle and well toward being one of the best teams in baseball. But gosh, this funk has gone on long enough. It's time to pull yourself out of it before you can't and before it bites you in October.
So it's a couple of things resonate with me. This shows me how poor the National League is. The National League is just not a very good league. I don't think there's not that many great teams in the National League, and it also brings to light to me, the complacency piece, and it also brings to light how really good are the Phillies. The talent is there. And they were playing like the best team in all of baseball, and they have the talent to be the best team in baseball, but they're not playing the game as the best team in baseball. The teams that are playing the game as the best teams in baseball are the Milwaukee Brewers and the Arizona Diamondbacks in the National League. Los Angeles is going to get there too because Mookie Betts is coming back. They're going to get some of their pitching back, some more of their starting pitching back. They're going to get better and better. And so, and the San Diego Padres, they're playing as a team finally, which is something they had not done in a couple of years. So all of those teams are playing better baseball as a team, not necessarily more talented, but playing better baseball. And that's what you need. I also think back to the comment when I talked to Chase Utley, he was there in Los Angeles. He made a tremendous comment, and he said, this team needed to face a little adversity. They needed to figure it because it was they were on cruise control. And maybe this is a good thing that they will come out of it and be better for it. And it's a little bit like developing a young player where, the guy's just cruising through the minor leagues and not ever having any issues. He's hitting, 300 or 350, or has a, 1.2 ERA and never really faces adversity. And then when he gets to the big leagues, boom, all of a sudden he's slapped in the face with Hillerick and Bradsby, and he can't get anybody out. So I think this is a good way, good test for them because it's time for them to kick it in. And I would not be surprised if Rob Thompson doesn't have a little chat with them. Meetings can be silly at times, but with the way that they're playing baseball right now, they do need a little kick in the pants.
I feel like especially with.
I was going to say they really could use Trey Turner to get going too because he can be such a catalyst. He was hitting 349 going into the break. He's lost like 49 points on his average, or almost 50 points on his batting average, and his OPS has plummeted. He's just had a very poor run here in the second half at like buck 80. He can be such a catalytic player. It would be nice to see him really turn it on. Harper's been pretty good. Castellanos has been good for a couple months. It's such a drop-off once you get to the middle of that lineup with Stott and Marsh really struggling.
Yeah, those two guys really need to pick it up. Stott and Marsh have been really not very good. It's as simple as that.
JT.
They just haven't been good. And Stott and Marsh, they just need to be better. Their bats need to be better. And don't be surprised if you don't see some shakeup in the lineup and or the roster if some of these guys don't start picking it up. I'm just going to say that because I know Dave Dombrowski. He is patient and he understands the game. But if you're not performing, this is a performance base. They're here to win, baby. So if guys don't start playing the game, you may see some things change in this lineup.
So
roster?
What would you do with the lineup and what would you do with the roster? Like, would you bump down Trey till he gets going, move up Castellanos? What would you guys do?
I would move to Castellanos because Castellanos is having quality at bats like day in and day out. There's no question he's having the best, most quality at bats on the team. He and Schwarber, I think, are having the best, as far as and Harper as well. He's bounced back after that very, very difficult stretch he's had. Those are the guys that are getting it done right now.
Would you send somebody out? One of the,
Oh, I would think about it.
Like Stott or Marsh?
It would be something that would at least, listen, no one's immune. Devon White years ago got sent down after being in the big leagues for 3 years. I played with him in California with the California Angels down in Edmonton. I was like, what are you doing down here, dude?
No, it can be a shock that can get some guys going. Alvarado went down a couple of years ago. It was
correct.
Very much remedial because he came back with that cutter. He did good things with it. Maybe. But I'm also, I bet mentally it was a bit of a shock to his pride and it kicked him in a little bit. I think anything should be on the table. It's a team that doesn't do a lot of that because you got a patient GM, you got a patient manager, but maybe a shakeup in the lineup, something well placed might have positive benefit. I'm not saying you exile somebody for the whole season, but you can send a bit of a message, kind of roll a grenade, a figurative grenade through that clubhouse and wake some people up.
Trey, you have 4 guys. Trey OPS since that Dodgers sweep in mid-July, 574, JT 562, Stott 512, Marsh 445. I mean, there was just a few days ago we were talking about him having some better at bats against lefties, but he's really been struggling. So yeah, I think it would be interesting to see how they would do that and what they would do and how they would message it, because this is a team that talks about resiliency and not panicking but on the other hand, it's like, all right, we're 24-30 since June 8th.
Listen, you have to perform.
We're 6 games under 500.
Yeah, you have to perform. You have to play winning baseball. And if you're not performing and you're striking out at a 40% rate, or you're not getting on base, or you're not contributing offensively, then somebody else has to take that place and replace that offensive. I mean, it's been going on for a while now. This is not like 2 weeks. This is 2 months almost. And so something's going to have to change. And the complacency piece, that would change it if someone was shaken up.
Oh, yeah. You get some people's attention, and it could have a very positive effect. I don't know what that is, but for a team and organization that really prides itself on being even keel, maybe it's just a lineup shakeup. Maybe it's somebody sits for a couple of days. Just get somebody's attention. You never know where it might go.
Is there anything on the pitching side that has you guys concerned? I mean,
everything does.
Everything does? Everything does.
I mean, listen, this was the best starting rotation in baseball. It is no longer the best starting rotation in baseball. I mean, Suarez coming back is great. Taijuan Walker's coming back on Tuesday. That's fine. He's not a world beater, but he's going to eat up some innings.
Right.
And in fact, the other guys have got Colby Allard did a good job, and Tyler Phillips has done a decent job. But the other big boys, they're going to have to pitch better. Aaron did not pitch well.
They have his number,
and he has not been pitching all that well. I mean, he's fairly consistent, but he needs to dominate a game or two here. And Christopher Sanchez, I thought he was going to deal yesterday, and he really did not have command of his stuff, and so he got beat up. But the bullpen is another issue. I mean, Alvarado clearly is struggling. He's leaving a lot of pitches in the middle of the plate. Hoffman's been lights out, and then all of a sudden, he leaves a couple pitches in the middle of the plate. He's getting whacked around a little bit. It hasn't been good. It's as simple as that. They're better than this. I don't think there's any question, but they're going to have to start executing, or it's going to be an ugly couple of months.
Sanchez has an ERA in the mid-6s since he won Pitcher of the Month in June. I mean, Nola's ERA is almost 4.75 in his last 11 starts. So both of those guys are really Wheeler's. But he's had those 2 terrible starts where he gave up like 7 runs. But other than that, he's been okay. I say other than that.
And then there's oftentimes they don't have a lot of margin for error because the hitting with runners in scoring position, which has really not been good. I mean, especially in this series in Arizona, you get these runners out there. You got to find a way to deliver them. And they had a game where they were 7 for 34 with runners in scoring position, 206 in this series. I mean, there were opportunities. They just didn't get them in, and that can make a difference on the pitching staff as well. But Sanchez and Nola in this series, a lot of balls over the plate, and that's a team that'll hurt you, and they got hurt.
When you have to start thinking about pitching and not giving up a run because you're not getting the support, then that baseball gets a little tighter, gets a little heavier, and you try to every pitch becomes even more stressful, and you're having a lot of things happen at the same time. No part of their game right now is going well, not one.
Do you think? I mean, they really struggled again. Every team they've played since the break has been 500 or better, and they've struggled 7-15.
Yeah.
Now they're going to see Miami and Washington. Do you think that could cure some things here? And also, they're going to see Citizens Bank Park, and it's going to be banged out. And, they've had a day off, but I feel like we've talked about this before. Okay, day off, they're coming home. This is going to get them going, and then it doesn't. But these are two poor teams. You can't play down to their level. You got to come out and you got to take hold of these games early, and then you got to tag on.
That's the way I was looking at this series, this homestand, Jim. I hate to like overstate the importance of a homestand, but you almost need them to like go 4-2 at least and just pound the crap out of these teams all week long and just brutalize them. Because if you go 3-3 against the Marlins and the Nationals, I mean, that's going to be deflating, I would think, and just kind of get people to be a little bit more concerned. So, the Marlins are terrible. The Nationals are not a winning baseball team. So I think they got to go at least 4-2, and I hate doing that because it's hard to win games, and I get it, but all right, you've been talking about how you played a really tough schedule. So if you're talking about playing a really tough schedule, this is not a really tough schedule. This is not a really tough schedule in the homestand. So you got to take care of business against these guys.
The time is now, boys. Time is now. They got to start playing really good baseball. If they don't, then the panic button will be struck.
Yeah. So last week, guys, we had answered some listener, viewer questions. And one of them was, give us your level of concern, level of worry about the Phillies play right now. And this was last Wednesday we did this. Jim, you said 1.5. Ruben, you said if you were a player, 0. You said as a lifelong Philadelphian Phillies fan, 9. You said GM, 6-7. But then you said overall, though, your vibe is a 4-5. I think I was about a 2 or a 3. Jim, has your 1.5 S increased? I guess it can't have decreased. Where are you on the 1.5?
I'm still at 1.5 on the worry meter, but my ticked off meter has gone up to about an 8 because it's tough to watch this stuff when you know they're better than they are.
Okay.
So maybe I'm parsing words, but I'm still not overly worried because they're going to play in the postseason, and whoever gets hot is going to go, crazy through the postseason. But, it would really behoove them to go into the postseason playing much better ball than they are now. There's time to get things going, but it would be good to see Trey Turner get going. I think he, when he's hot, it kind of reverberates through the entire lineup. And it would be good to get some depth in, the 1 through 9 is such a big drop off after kind of like number 5 in the batting order. Got to get all those guys going. So I'm still not that worried because they're going to play in the postseason. They got a big cushion. But frustrated, ticked off. I certainly can understand why people would feel that way for what they're watching, because it's just not fun. It's kind of a chore to watch. You don't deliver runners in scoring position. You're not getting quality starts. There's nights when the defense is off. Everything needs to be sharpened up here.
Ruben, what about you? Let's do. You said 4 or 5-ish. Where are you at?
I'm at an 8. I'm at an 8 because what I see right now, and now it's been long enough. I thought that they would play at least 500 on this road trip, and when you get blown out that many times, in a road trip, that really concerns me because of the pitching. See, the pitching needs to get turned back around. Now, I was giving a lot of love to Caleb Cotham and Brian Kaplan and all those guys that were running the pitching, but it's not executing now. They're not executing. They look tired. The team looks tired. And it doesn't look like it has the same sort of energy. Now, losses can do that to you. But in particular, big losses can suck the energy out of you. And the pitching really needs to get turned around. And the pitching is a real concern. Suarez needs to come back and be sharp. You got to get a sharper Nola. And, and I'm a big Nola advocate because he's so steady, but he needs to be sharper. And, Wheels, I think it will be fine, but you need, ace-like work from Wheels as well. Those 3 guys have to really get going for this team to start rolling. And the guys in the back end, I love Carlos Estevez. I think he's going to be great, and I think he's going to be fine. He's a strike thrower. He's not afraid. He goes after guys. But, you know, Hoffman and Alvarado, they're going to have to really, bounce back, because right now they're not nearly as sharp as you would hope. And, you know, hopefully they're going through that little dead arm period, that lull or whatever the case may be, and we'll be striking on all cylinders. But I'm still at an 8 because of the pitching.
I'd probably be at a 4. I'm probably at a 5-ish now, because of what I mentioned at the top. Now they're going to win the division. I believe that they're going to win the division, but where are they going to be seated in the postseason race? You know, are they going to let the Brewers and the Dodgers pass them by, or whoever wins the NL West? And now you're talking about playing a best of 3 wild card series. And if, like I mentioned, could be the Diamondbacks. And as Bryce said, they ain't scared. They ain't scared. So you better get this turned around and get that first round bye. I do think that's important. So you can't let this thing linger on for a few more weeks and then, oh man, okay, well, we're just going to try to get in and get hot at the end of the season and add one more series in there. It adds all these different things that can pop up and crazy bounce, and boom, now your season's over. So they got to get that figured out. Guys, we'll be back on, I think later, we'll be back on Wednesday maybe. And if we'll take, some listener questions, some viewer questions, which there should be some good ones.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have any listener questions, shoot them our way. We'll send a tweet later today or later tomorrow, and then shoot them in there, and we'll try to get to them, keep them clean. I know you're frustrated, but well, I guess we can edit it out. It ain't swear words, but we'll be back on Wednesday. Thanks, guys.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
This is The Phillies Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to The Phillies Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, give us a review. Tell a friend. Catch Ruben, Jim, and me on Phillies Nation TV, presented by Valley Forge Tourism. New episodes air an hour before every Saturday Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Replays air throughout the week and on PhilliesNation.com. Get more of Ruben's analysis during, before, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Read Jim at the All City Network at allphly.com. Find more of me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and occasionally on MLB Network.